Okay, so are you ready for a deep dive that really challenges those preconceptions? Because today we're tackling Islam,
Okay.
but not in the way you might think. We're diving into the heart of it through these really insightful quotes from this book I found called The True Islam.
Oh, interesting. I love that approach. The author, Edward Tropia, he takes these powerful quotes from Islamic scholars,
Right.
and then he uses those to kind of address common misconceptions about the faith.
It's such a cool approach, right? Because it's like we're getting this peek into the heart of Islam across centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens chapter 1 with this real zinger. How strange. You lose something small and cry while you waste your whole life and still laugh.
Wow.
I know, right?
Talk about a powerful way to kick things off right. That's Ibn al-Qayyim. He was a 14th century scholar who is known as the scholar of the heart. And that quote, it's like a wake-up call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Highlighting this core Islamic principle that our lives are so precious. Time is fleeting.
Yeah.
Are we spending it on what truly matters?
It really makes you pause and think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's a message that anyone can resonate with, no matter what your background is.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about all these quotes is that they really just speak to these universal truths.
Yeah, and this emphasis on inner transformation over outward actions is something you'll find throughout all Islamic teachings.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of another quote from the book. This one's from Umar ibn al-Khattab. He was a prominent figure in early Islam. And he said, "Do not be deceived by those who recite the Quran, for these are only words that we utter. Rather look to those who act accordingly."
Oh, that's good.
Right.
It's like that thing, you shall know them by their fruits.
Yeah.
It's about walking the walk right.
Precisely. It's not just about saying the right things, but it's like embodying those principles in your daily life.
Yeah.
It's about the state of your heart, the intentions behind your actions, this inner struggle, this striving to live a life that's aligned with your values. That's actually a form of jihad,
Oh, wow.
which is often referred to as jihad al-nafs, the struggle against the ego.
That's really interesting. I've never heard that
Yeah.
interpretation before. That's really cool. And speaking of the heart, there's so many quotes in here that emphasize Allah's mercy and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like this one. I whimpered, begged, and pleaded for help. No one came except Allah.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
It's that idea that no matter how far we stray or how lost we might feel,
Hmm.
Allah is always there, ready to welcome us back.
Always there with open arms. And that's central to Islam, that concept of just infinite mercy.
It's a really comforting thought, isn't it?
It is.
And it made me think of this other quote that really struck me, which was the one about humility. The person I like the most is the one who points out my mistakes.
Ooh, now that one is challenging.
Right.
It requires a certain level of self-awareness
Yeah.
and a willingness to grow. But in Islam, acknowledging our flaws, seeking knowledge, constantly striving to improve ourselves is so highly valued.
It's about being open to feedback, even if it's hard to hear sometimes.
Yeah.
And recognizing that we all have blind spots, and sometimes we need others to help us see them.
Exactly. To take strength to admit our shortcomings and be open to growth.
Hmm.
And in a way, it ties back to that idea of jihad al-nafs, the struggle against our own egos.
It all connects.
Right.
Wow, that's so cool. Another theme that I noticed when I was reading through this was this emphasis on compassion and respect in relationships,
Of course.
especially towards women. And I love this quote. The best among you is the one who treats his wife best.
Yes. And, that's often misinterpreted. It's not just about husbands and wives. It's a broader message about treating everyone with
Right.
kindness and respect, especially those closest to us.
Recognizing the inherent dignity in every human being.
Yes.
These quotes really paint such a different picture of Islam than what we often see in the headlines.
I know, it's refreshing, isn't it?
It is. It's like we're getting this glimpse into the true heart of the faith.
Absolutely. And, that's just the start. These quotes serve as a springboard to then tackle some of those common misunderstandings surrounding Islam, which we'll get into when we explore Chapter 2.
Okay, so before we jump into those misconceptions, let's pause for a moment.
Yeah.
What's resonating with you so far? What's striking you about these messages of inner transformation, Allah's mercy, and the importance of humility and compassion? It really is amazing how much these quotes kind of make you rethink things.
Right.
You start to realize how much of the true heart of Islam kind of gets lost in translation.
Yeah.
But I love that in Chapter 2, Tropia just dives right in.
He does.
He starts tackling all those common misconceptions head on.
And this is where I think his background is so interesting because he was raised Catholic,
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
but then found himself drawn to the wisdom of Islam. So he's coming at this with such a unique perspective
Right.
when he wades into all those really tricky theological debates.
Yeah, like that whole Trinity concept. I
Exactly.
remember reading that part and thinking,
Yeah,
I mean, even Christians can't agree on what it means half the time.
exactly. He says that even Christians can't fully agree on what it means.
Right.
And I appreciate that he doesn't just dismiss it.
Right.
He kind of gets at this very human need to try to understand something as vast as the divine.
It's like trying to put the ocean in a teacup.
Exactly. You
Good
can't
old saying.
contain it. And he applies that same line of thinking to the misconception that Muslims worship Mary.
Which, from everything I've learned, is just not true at all.
Right. Absolutely not true.
Yeah.
He uses the example of praying the rosary
Yeah.
and how someone outside the faith might intellectually wonder, why are these prayers being directed to Mary first?
Right.
But Tropea argues that what really matters is the intent, the state of the heart.
So it's about that direct connection,
Exactly.
that feeling of closeness, regardless of the form it takes.
Precisely. And, this leads us to another big misconception that Muslims see Jesus as God.
Which, again, from what I understand, completely goes against one of the most, fundamental principles of Islam.
Exactly. Islam very clearly teaches there is only one God, Allah.
Mm.
And this is known as Tawhid, this oneness of God. But here's where I think Tropea gets really insightful. He suggests that for many Christians, calling Jesus God is more about recognizing his divine nature and importance.
Oh, so it's less about literally saying that he is as God,
Right.
the be-all, end-all,
Right.
and more about just emphasizing his significance.
That's how Tropea sees it. He is suggesting that the differences might be more about wording than core belief.
That's a pretty radical thought when you really think about it.
It is.
And then, of course, there's that whole idea of Jesus dying for our sins,
All right.
which is obviously so central to Christianity.
Huge.
But it can be really confusing for people to wrap their heads around.
Absolutely. And Tropea doesn't shy away from that at all. He even points out that within the Bible itself, there's this idea that simply believing in the crucifixion isn't enough for salvation.
Right.
Remember when Jesus says, "I don't know you," to those people who claim to have done all these great things in his name?
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
That's what Tropea is getting at. He ties it back to that central message of action and intention that we talked about earlier. It's about following Jesus's teachings, living a life of love and compassion, not just intellectually assenting to this event.
So it's not just about pinning all your hopes on this one event, however significant,
Right.
but it's about actually walking the path, embodying those teachings every day.
Precisely. And finally, Tropea tackles this whole misconception about God's name,
Okay.
pointing out that both Islam and Christianity actually have multiple names for God.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He lists out all 99 names of Allah.
He does. Yeah, it's very impressive.
And what I find so fascinating is that when you compare these to the Hebrew names for God, you actually see so much overlap. Words like the merciful, the compassionate, the just, these qualities that transcend any specific religion.
That's really cool. It's a powerful message that despite our differences in beliefs and practices,
Yeah.
there's this common thread of faith that kind of binds us all.
Exactly. And that's what's so refreshing about Tropea's whole approach. He's encouraging us to look beyond the surface level, to look beyond the labels and the dogma and really get to that shared essence of faith.
It's like he's building bridges instead of walls.
Mm.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, how does this kind of perspective shift your thinking? Have you ever encountered these types of misunderstandings about Islam or other faiths? And how does this conversation make you think about them differently? Just take a moment to kind of reflect on that, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
It really is kind of wild when you start to think about it.
Yeah.
You can get so caught up in those little details that separate us.
Right.
But underneath,
Yeah.
there's so much common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think Tropea leaves us with this really fascinating thought.
Okay.
He talks about how all prophets, like Abraham to Jesus to Muhammad, they're all brothers, really united in that same core message of, love, compassion, submission to something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, it is like they're all saying the same thing,
Right.
just in different languages.
Yeah, different paths, but maybe that same destination.
And that leads us to that really big question that Tropea poses,
Okay.
What if instead of focusing on the things that divide us,
Yeah.
we focused on those shared values, that common ground?
Okay.
Could that be a path to greater understanding, even peace?
Wow. Now that is a question worth thinking about.
It is.
It makes you realize that, taking the time to explore different faiths hearing those different perspectives.
Yeah,
It's not about abandoning your own beliefs at all.
right.
If anything, it just makes them stronger.
Absolutely.
It deepens your understanding of everything.
It's about recognizing that shared humanity,
Right.
that fundamental desire that we all have to connect to something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we come to these conversations with open hearts and minds, it's
Mhm.
amazing what we can discover.
That's what I love about a good deep dive.
Right.
Always leaves you with more questions than answers,
Yeah.
but in a good way.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
makes you want to keep digging deeper, keep learning.
And sometimes that's all it takes
Yeah.
to start bridging those divides,
Yeah.
building a more compassionate and understanding world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, keep those minds open.
Yes.
Keep diving deep.
Keep exploring.
And remember, those most fascinating discoveries are often the ones we least expect.
Absolutely.
See?